All right, this is Math 209, Week 4, Section 10.1. We're reviewing concepts and vocabulary of square roots. All right, what are the square roots of 9? So when we talk about square roots, what do we mean? So the idea is square root of 9 means, I'm going to put arrow. Okay, it means what number times itself equals 9. All right, so when we think of that, well, the square root of 9, if we think about what times itself equals 9, you could say, well, 3 times 3 equals 9. But because we're big boys and girls and we could do negative numbers, we also know that negative 3 times negative 3 equals 9. So the square root of 9 is equal to positive 3 or negative 3. So that's why we put that little symbol there. So the answer in this case is B. Now the cube root, what does the cube root mean? So in that case, a cube root means it's the third root of 8. And basically what they're saying for the cube root is they're saying what number times itself again is equal to 8. All right, so using guess and check, you could say, well, let's see. 2 times 2 times 2 is 8, so the answer is 2. And let's think about, can we consider negatives? So let's think about negative 2. Can you do negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2? No, because that's going to equal negative 8. So that is no good. So right now, the only number that can be multiplied by itself 3 times to equal 8 is positive 2. So the answer is 2. All right, so on this one, you get this really kind of complicated question. It says, if b raised to the nth power is equal to a, and b is larger than 0, then the nth root of a is what? Now, I'm going to just jump in, and I'm going to say the answer is B. Now, let's talk about why is that answer B. Okay, so suppose what this thing, b to the nth power is equal to a. Basically what they're saying is, what if n was really a 3? So that's like saying b to the third power. So that we know that that's b times b times b. And if we were to do the third root of b to the third power, now if we were to say, by the way, if we were to say that this is equal to a, it was equal to a here. All right, so if I were to take that a and replace, there. If I were to replace that a with over here and just say, that's no longer a b to the third power, that's an a. All right, so we know that the third root of b to the third power means what times itself again is equal to the b to the third power. Well, the answer is b. b times b times b. So if we were to say then the third root of a, well, the answer is b, because we're saying a is the same thing as b to the third power. All right, so it's kind of fancy. Now the same thing is what if we did b to the fourth power? Well, we know that b to the fourth power is b times b times b times b. So what is the fourth root of b to the fourth power? Well, that fourth root means what times itself again is equal to b to the fourth. Well, that's easy. That's b times b times b times b. So the fourth root of b to the fourth power is equal to b. And we're just saying, hey, let that b to the fourth power equal a. And that's what this thing is. So the nth root of b to the n is b. All right, and so that's why the answer is B. That's a long, convoluted explanation for something that it really, in the scope of things, isn't very important in this chapter, so don't sweat this question too much. All right, so this one's kind of a fun question. It says evaluate the square root of negative 25. So basically what this, now when you don't have a number right here, you know that you can insert the number 2. All right, and so what this is saying is it's saying what number times itself is equal to negative 25. All right, now if we want to figure out what number times itself is equal to negative 25, you could say, well, let's try 5. Well, 5 times 5 is 25. Oops, that's no good. All right, well, let's try, how about negative 5 times negative 5? Well, that's no good because that's positive 25 also, and we don't want positive 25. We're looking for negative 25. So somebody might say, well, make one of them negative, make the other positive, and that's going to give us negative 25. Yes, but these two numbers must be the same. And so that's no good. So there is no combination of two numbers that will give us negative 25. So that means the answer is undefined. So this is asking us which one of those 4 options is equal to negative 4. So basically, let's jump straight to, let's look at option D. So when it says the third root of negative 64, what they're saying is, and so when we say is equal to what? So what they're saying is what number times itself again is equal to negative 64. And so when you start thinking about values, if you put in negative 4 times negative 4 times negative 4, sure enough, you get negative 64. So that is our answer. So right here. Now, why are these other ones not the right answer? Well, if you think about root 8, as in the square root of 8. So when there's no number there, that means it's a 2. And so this is saying, when we say is equal to what? This is saying what number times itself is equal to 8? Well, the answer is definitely not negative 4, because negative 4 times negative 4 is 16. So that's no good. So we've eliminated A. If we want to eliminate B, which is the negative of, that's the negative of the third root of 16. So that's saying, okay, the negative of the third root of 16. So what is that saying? That's saying stick the negative sign in front of whatever this answer is. So this is saying the third root. So that's what number times itself is equal to 16. Well, that's definitely not negative 4 or 4, because 4 times 4 times 4 gives us 64, and negative 4 times negative 4 times negative 4 gives us negative 64. So in neither case does it give us 16, so we know that's no good. And then let's go all the way back up. So this guy's no good. So now let's look at this one, which is the square root of negative 16. Well, the square root of negative 16. Again, there's a 2 there. So what does that mean? This really means what number times itself is equal to negative 16. And if you try 4 and if you try negative 4, neither of those is going to give you negative 16. So that's why that one is no good. So by a process of elimination, it's D. So this is asking us to sketch a graph of the square root function. Well, I'm going to recommend you just go to Desmos, www.desmos.com, and when you do that, and you type in the equation, y is equal to the square root of x. When you do that, you're going to get this beautiful graph. Now you'll notice it's only the positive values right here. It's only this right here. Technically, it would also include the negatives, because like if you think about the square root of 16, well, the square root of 16 is 4 or negative 4. So that would be 4 or negative 4, right? So, but in when we're talking algebra here and graphing, we only have the consider the positive values, and that's always the case when we're talking about graphing a function. And so that in that case, what that means is the answer in this case is B. And actually, you'll notice this picture right here matches the picture that you see in Desmos. So what is the domain of the square root function? So remember that the domain is all the x values, all right, that are allowed. So what are the x values that are allowed? So we're going to go over here and we're going to look at this graph, and you'll notice the x values are here and the y values are here. So if you think about it, are any of the negative x values allowed? Nope, none of them are. So the only x values that are allowed are starting at 0 and moving towards infinity. All right? And so, if we go over here, the x values that start at 0 and go towards infinity is this option. This is all the x values that are equal to 0 or larger than 0, and that's this one. You could also have written it like this, 0 to infinity like this, but Math Lab didn't give us that choice. So this is the other way, and this is the other way. The two different ways to represent that domain.